Most of us here are Naval Academy alumni. Most of the rest of us went to some service academy, but we all went to college, right? And so that means several times a year, we all get emails and phone calls from our respective alumni associations. Depending on where you are in life, they might be asking for different things, but they're always out there, right? So speaking purely for myself, I've never really been engaged with my alumni association because that's a thing for old guys in blue blazers, right? So when my classmate Heidi suggested that we have Luis on as a guest speaker, I went to the website and I took a look at the Naval Academy Alumni Association that he runs, or the chapter rather that he runs, which is the Greater Washington D.C. one. That's a really big one. And holy cow, those guys do a lot of stuff. I had no idea that that Alumni Association chapters were actually so interesting. So I'm going to let Luis tell you about it, but many of us come from other institutions. So I just want to leave a couple of points up in the air, right? So just like this meetup, the most critical component of your alumni association is you, right? So it's literally whatever you choose to make of it and can convince your equally talented classmates to help you make. Point number one. Point number two, this is always true, universally true. You have more to offer than you know and more to gain than you know. So pay attention. Luis, tell us about your Alumni Association chapter, sir, and from a larger perspective, tell us why we should be involved with our own.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate that really warm welcome and introduction. So just Jason mentioned, I was elected to the presidency for the local chapter here in DC this past summer. I've been a member for the last 3 years. Now, to answer the question that Jason posed to me is, why should you be part of your alumni association? Well, I'd say the number one thing, and it's just what Jason has going on here, it's relationships. It's to build relationships. Now, these associations, we're all fighting with that stigma that Jason just mentioned, which it is the retiree social club. And I can tell you that the Greater Washington, D.C. chapter, we had that happening as well for some time. Now, when now we have a lot more divorce board, and we're focusing on career transition. To know about each chapter and what an alumni association does is going to vary. So tonight, as I talk about the Greater Washington D.C. chapter, just know that that's our chapter. We're one of the largest chapters in the area. Our chapter, for those of us that are familiar with this area, it extends from as far east as Bowie, Maryland, which is somewhere between DC and Annapolis, as far north as the Maryland-Pennsylvania border, as far west as the Virginia-West Virginia border, and as far south as the Beltway. So within that area, we have the second wealthiest area, wealthiest municipality being DC, with highest concentration of millionaires. We have the wealthiest counties in the country, which is Loudoun and Fairfax. Montgomery's not very far behind. But with that, we've got urban areas, we've got suburban areas, we've got rural areas. So our chapter is very unique in that it has a very wide demographic. And our chapter by membership is also very wide by demographic. We have our oldest member is a surviving spouse from the class of, I believe, is 1948. So then from there, our membership is roughly 20% by decade. So 40% of our membership is class of 80s and 90s. And then another 20% is class of 2000s and 2010s. Everything else is class of 70s and 60s. That's the next big, I guess, hump that we have. So in servicing everyone there, we look to provide a whole string of services, right? So we have people that are very early in their career, people who are mid-career, and people who are late career. So we try to focus on career transition for those coming out of the military, for those transitioning from, was asked to raise the volume. Thank you, Heidi. And for those transitioning within the civilian workforce. So that's a lot for the mid-career. So we also try to provide education for those initially coming out of the military so that they know and don't suffer through what I suffered through, which I can tell you, I'd say it took me 9 years to successfully transition out of the military. And that said, I'm actually back on active duty right now, so I guess I'm still working through that. But also, we see a lot of interest from our grads from the class of '70s and before, wanting to be in a mentorship type role and where they're giving back. So we're also developing programs to facilitate that relationship to be built. But if I had to kind of sum it up and say what it is that we're doing is just is that relationship, which is, if you need to contact someone to fulfill either a professional or a social need, be that, coming out and going to our picnics, which sadly COVID uh, put a kibosh on for this year, but hopefully we'll be doing next year. But come out and do a professional engagement. A lot of you are maybe entrepreneurs, engage with that demographic, and just help you build the relationships that can get us there. Because what we find is that we are all, military officer academy or not, we're all cut from the same cloth. So we tend to hit it off and communicate really well with one another. And it's just about building an environment where we could foster that and be able to provide, everything you need and are looking for across the spectrum of your life needs.
Luis, do you do you guys get involved at all with other say other service academy chapters, other institutions, alumni associations?
So other alumni associations, not so much. The other service academies, yes, to a limited extent. That's something that we are trying to grow in the next
Let me guess,
couple
football
years.
watch parties.
Yeah, Army Navy watch party naturally, right?
Yep.
Now that we can't do without that one. So we do have a relationship with the local society of West Point. So that's about the extent of our relationship with other alumni associations. But in the long game, that's something that we're going to keep building.
Yeah. So I mean, how big are you guys? Like how many active members have you got?
Active members, we have just under 400. And we've been growing at roughly 5% each month. So, and we've doubled our numbers since last year. So it's a fastly growing association. We're independent of the national association. So that's I guess a big point for just any, at least I can only speak to the Naval Academy associations, but each one of us are independent, not-for-profit organizations. Each chapter is, and we are not legally or financially tied to the National Association, though they do have influence, right? Because we mirror their mission in supporting the academy. But so for membership and growing and providing those services, we're in the kind of same boat you are, is that we have to get our face and name out there, let people know what we're doing to help kind of grow our numbers. But as of right now, just under 400.
So we saw something similar a few weeks ago. Aaron Stone came on to tell us about MOA, the Military Officers Association of America, and I guess it's a similar setup, right? Where they've got the national organization, they got the chapters, and they're not the same thing at all. And I mean, it seemed like it created some confusion. You guys, well, we were joking before the thing started about whether you were going to have to field complaints, for the national organization. But is there some confusion there? Like, do people sometimes not know which organization they're a member of?
So I haven't witnessed it yet. I think people, at least the members that I've spoken with, understand that, and I think
you make darn
in
sure,
this area because in this area that we're in, to my, I'm flanked to my east with the Annapolis chapter and to the south by the Quantico chapter. So people kind of get to know that and they're not very far apart, right? They're less than 1 hour away from where I am in Arlington. So when people want to come attend our functions, or you want to go attend one of their functions, you have to be a member of their association. So I think people, because of that, and because of how, even though we have such a huge AO, our sister chapters are so close in that, at least in two directions, that people kind of have come to know that they have these multiple memberships, so they can go to different chapters. So I haven't noticed the confusion. What it does, I guess, kind of create is a competition for dollars, because if you're a membership, a member of two chapters, and I'm asking you for donations, you're like, well, wait, I go more to the Annapolis chapter. I'd rather donate to them. So I'd say that would be the only sticking point that could happen. Haven't really experienced that either, but no, as far as confusion, not that I've noticed.
Gotcha. Do you guys do you get any help from the national organization? They bring any money to the table?
So I'm gonna have to give you a political answer, right?
Fair enough.
No, but so no,
No.
typically no. It we try to. So we have, because we're such a large chapter, we have a
Yeah.
trustee that on our board that sits at the national chapter and goes to their meetings to represent us and our needs.
Mhm.
And that would be the way that we could tap into, I guess, national level resources. But day to day, month to month, we don't have, I guess, regular. We could, but we don't have regular conversations with the national. The thing with all this is we're all volunteers, except at the
Yeah.
national level. Some of them are full timers, but
Yeah.
no. So we now they do provide a lot of support. Like if we need to spread the word around. Like last week
Mhm.
we had a candidate event that was very successful. One of the things we do is support the academy and just getting the word out so kids can attend. So if we need to do things like that, we can say, hey, national chapter, we've got this event going on. Can you please spread the word for us? Because we'll just be limited by our scope here. And they chip in and do their part. So no, we had, like, for example, because of that event, we had international attendees, and we had kids signing on from England, Korea.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
it was, yeah, it was
You
I
mean
was pretty surprised.
American kids, or Korean and British
Yeah,
kids?
no, American kids. I mean, I didn't see them
Yeah.
face to face, so I'm
Yeah.
making the
Yeah.
assumption that they all were American.
Yeah.
But yes, the way
Interesting.
and most of them were asking for about nominations. So
Uh-huh.
a lot, I'd say a lot of them knew that uh, they were probably kids of service members.
Interesting. So, for those of you who aren't Navy grads, I'm sure that if you came from a service academy, you've got a similar program. Navy has this thing called the Blue and Gold Officer Program, which is, I guess you'd call it an outreach program to help applicants, navigate the process. Luis, how do you guys? Well, I guess two questions. Number one, beyond what you just described, how do you get involved in the admissions process, and do you must kind of work hand in glove with the Blue and Gold officers then, right?
So yes. So one of the things that we do, and this is, I'd say, is any alumni association, is we are, and that's for every school, for all of you that are graduates out there. One of the, I guess, unwritten rules for an alumni association is we are keepers of the brand, and we promote the brand. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that we do is help the academy by way of, let's say, like DC is an area that we don't get many applicants from. So that is now the Alumni Association, because we are in the community, continue to build those relationships within the community so that we can help the Blue and Gold officers either gain access to students, do like the event that we did last week, which is create a function where we can put candidates and Blue and Gold officers and have them be in a place where they can have a conversation with one another. In the
Mm-hmm.
past, obviously this was COVID related, but in the past we've actually have done those in person at the Navy Memorial in DC. So a lot of what the chapter does is
Uh-oh. Did I freeze or did he? Luis, I think we may have lost you, my friend.
You're good.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Just
Luis,
okay.
Sorry, we lost you for about 20 seconds there. Can you rewind?
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So all I was saying is, so that's one of the big things that each alumni association does. Well, I'd say they probably don't go as far as making sure that their schools get a steady stream of qualified candidates. But that is something that we do as an alumni association. We do make sure that we're getting the word out of the academy to areas that probably haven't heard about us very much, and then providing contact with the Blue and Gold officers. And we don't do as much because we're right in DC, but I know like
Mm-hmm.
our sister chapters down south, like Hampton Roads, they actually will help a kid financially get to the academy via the summer programs, the summer seminar, excuse me. They'll help fund a kid's transportation up there. So we're tied in through the entire life cycle. You know, the slogan, I think one of the catchphrases for the Alumni Association National is, it's not about the next 4 years, it's about the next 40. So it's just trying to keep with that and making sure that we're taking care of. And that's something also special about the Naval Academy, is that an alumni is anyone that attended the academy. You didn't have to graduate in comparison to West Point and Air Force Academy, where it's a graduate association. So
have we got any guys from West Point or Air Force on the line? Is that true? I know about our own definition, but I don't know about you guys. We're all Navy here, right on. No kidding. So we're the only ones who do that.
Yeah, I'm from West Point, and yeah, you have to graduate. If you quit early, then you're not part of the AOG.
Yeah, how about that? Oh, fair enough. We're inclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right, can I show my age, Luis? What is a summer? What's a summer seminar?
Okay, summer seminar. So the academy hosts kids. So it's I guess it would be, it's not their senior, it's the summer before their senior year. So juniors, I guess graduating juniors, those that have interest in applying for the academy and don't know anything about it, the academy hosts this summer session where, you know, all these candidates can come out and just experience the academy for a couple of weeks. They get to see the yard.
Hey Luis.
Yep.
Hey, you mind if I take over for this one?
Yeah,
Just
go right ahead.
My son, my youngest son, he was selected for summer seminar.
Oh, excellent.
This past year. Now, he did summer STEM after 10th grade, which is post 10th grade for science, technology, engineering, math type stuff. So he was selected for STEM and seminar, and it's a mini boot camp, mini deep summer for a week or so is what summer seminar is. 500 kids are selected for both programs. If you get selected for summer seminar, you're automatically assigned a candidate ID number, and start the process. You don't have to go through any of the preliminary stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice. How do you like it?
I want to jump in here. The primary reason for summer seminar, and Heidi and John, other BGOs that are on the line, is not for the kids in Virginia. It's for the kid in Montana that doesn't know that there's this big ocean
right
that has ships on it. And so I bring this up because it's important to understand how competitive the Northern Virginia area is, right? We want the kid in Ohio. We want the kid in Utah. We don't want the kid in Northern Virginia that can get in his car or her car and drive up to Annapolis. However, if they don't get in, and this crushes these kids when they don't get in from Northern Virginia, that's what we've been trained to tell them. It's not about you so much, it's about the kid that has no clue that there are sharks in the ocean.
Gotcha.
Right. And can you hear me real quick, Jason?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, just real quick. So for some of you don't know, I'm the deputy area coordinator for Dallas, formerly the area coordinator for Los Angeles. And Laura's exactly right, and I'll tag on this. We don't just take the top candidates and say, okay, this is the top, you go to summer seminar. Summer seminar is actually meant for those that are kind of in that upper middle. If a candidate has already been to the Naval Academy through STEM or has gone to like, I think there's like baseball camp, lacrosse camp, and they've already seen it all and everything else, there's no reason to have them come back for the fourth time, even if they're hot, okay? Like Laura said, it is actually, and when I was Los Angeles area coordinator, I fought hard to make sure that it was actually, more for those west of the Mississippi River than those that, like Laura said, can take a day trip from Philadelphia or whatever. Yeah, you get a couple there too. But and then also another thing is over 65% of each Naval Academy class did not get into summer seminar. They were turned down for it, because summer seminar is also that. I would say for every candidate of mine who goes to summer seminar and says, oh, that's wonderful, that's great, you also get the other half where they say, that's about as much Naval Academy as I want.
Well, that's right? A good outcome though, right?
Goodness, because we don't want them going through and wasting it, Laura's time, my time, Heidi's time, or anybody else's. If, boy, when they get to the academy and suddenly they get you know, what do they call that? Home fright, whatever, homesick. They get homesick suddenly, like, oh my goodness, you know, and so summer seminar really is it's a great tool for that. But and yes, you get a little bit of a head start because they do the CFA while you're there. But I'll tell you, for a lot of candidates, though, that, you know, who past years, this year was different, but in past years, doing the CFA in 95-degree heat, 95% humidity, isn't as nice as doing it in Southern California, where it's you know, 72 degrees and partly cloudy and the breeze coming off the Pacific Ocean. You tend to run the mile a little faster.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, is there some sort of a summer detail of midshipmen who sort of operate the thing?
Yeah, actually,
are they second classes or firsties?
Do it as well. So absolutely.
Nice. Oh, that's cool. So another summer detail that keeps you off the YPs. I like that.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Luis, tell us more, man.
Well, you know, we've started growing our chapter to also include, so, you know, we have the alumni membership. So we've actually started growing to allow associate members. Right now, we only have one because we just started that effort. But it's trying to get also kind of build that relationships and build relationships with the community. So did you want to know about that, or do you want to learn more about, because it sounds like I'm changing the topic on you.
Well, let me just throw the floor open for any questions from the group. We got 30 odd people on the line. So anybody got any questions for Luis on Alumni Association stuff, chapters stuff? We got all old.
John Walters here. I got a question about the Naval Academy alumni stuff. How does it work if does the Naval Academy alumni get involved in NAPS, helping, or go to some of the private institutions in the Northeast, you know, for a year to get the kids ready, whether it's academically or athletically?
So as a chapter, I can tell you that we don't. I don't know of. So the National Association, the official name is the United States Naval Academy Alumni Association and Foundation. What all is happening under the foundation side of it? I know they raise money and for the academy and all, but to directly answer your question, John, I don't believe that the Alumni Association gets involved with, I guess, the preparation of candidates to ensure that they're successful at, be that at the Naval Academy, at NAPS, I'm a NAPSter myself, or at any of the foundation schools.
Roger, thanks.
Definitely.
Right on. Yeah, that's I'm sure that's a whole different topic when you get into, is there, I guess there is more than just NAPS, right? It's
yeah. So if you don't, so you obviously can apply to the academy. And if like myself, if you don't get direct access to, then you'll immediately consider for NAPS. If you don't get NAPS to the Naval Academy Prep School up in Rhode Island. And if you're not considered for that, then you can be considered for the foundation program. And I think one of the blue and gold officers might be a better candidate to explain that than me. But ultimately, the academy has relationships with, I guess, junior colleges or foundation schools throughout the nation. And those that weren't able to make it to NAPS can get accepted into one of those schools. And that, in essence, becomes their prep school. And they're conditionally accepted after completion of that foundation school into the academy.
Gotcha. Well, Luis, all right. So let's talk about COVID, right? I mean, you've got an organization that was, I would imagine, almost entirely face-to-face, right? You know, before this whole thing happened. And now, not only is it not, right, but now you're competing with, you know, stuff like this, like you're competing with 1,000 other Zoom calls, right? So how are you keeping your people engaged? Like what's your, like you, Luis, like what's your plan to do this, and how's it going?
So, you know, I think, you know, Jason, I may be very lucky in that, and I say me and the chapter, in that if you are going to be successful at any degree in the DC area, it requires you to have a strong network. So we actually haven't had too much trouble, just, you know, getting people seem to already, our grads already seem to be interested in taking part in whatever's happening at the Alumni Association, meaning that our chapter. And So there was this lull there where we weren't doing a whole lot. And, since the spring of this year, I mean, well, no, really, since the fall of last year, we've really been, churning, and, we had some, I inherited this club with a lot of momentum. And because of that, this is why the growth happened. So I think we were fortunate in that, because that's the dynamic and people want to be involved. We just needed to make sure that we provided a medium for them to do that. And that's kind of been our goal through this COVID thing is, okay, we know they want to participate. They, we anytime I ask anything from our membership, they seem to respond really quickly. So it was just a function of just being able to kind of host these virtual functions like these, keep everybody interested, keep everyone engaged, let them know that the chapter is still working, so that hopefully, hopefully next spring this lifts, and we'll have at least that mental equity in people's minds of knowing, oh, that the chapters, they've been doing stuff constantly. Now I really want them to do something in person. Like we just put out a poll last week asking people, hey, I know COVID restrictions and everything, Army Navy watch party for December. Do you still want to do it? And over 10% of the membership, at least I think almost 20%, has already responded. And they're like, yeah, I'll just put it in a bar that has an outdoor area. It's kind of like the leading thing right now. But people come to the Alumni Association wanting to engage with other alumni. So I've been lucky in that respect, as far as I haven't had to worry about keeping them engaged. I just have had to find a way to keep them engaged.
Gotcha. So what's been your most effective tool, your go-to tool, or event, or whatever, whichever thing has been the glue for you?
So right now it's just been the career transition stuff, because it's the one big pain point for all of us, right? It's the most successful event was that that candidate event, but that was our members were involved, but obviously the audience wasn't our members. What's been really getting a lot of traction is we put out a survey asking our members, hey, what were your pain points when you're transitioning? And they came back and they told us, hey, we don't know. When I was transitioning, I didn't know what career industry to transition to. I don't know how to do salary negotiation, and I don't know how to do networking. So our first, we did a virtual session. We're doing virtual sessions on different career paths, which I'd love to extend that to you and the callers on this line, is that, we did one on project management. We said, okay, what is project management? Because, it's like this vague term, like I'm a PMP, but most people don't know what project management is, but they know as an officer, you can go be a project manager. So we had a project management career panel talking about that profession, that career field. Guys can ask, these project managers, what about that career field? Next month, we're looking to do one in sales. And then we're just going to keep having more of just so they can answer that first question, what industry and what profession to transition to. We held one on salary negotiation, how to negotiate a salary and a raise. Next month, we're also doing one on how to network effectively. So it's just those have been very popular because we're giving the membership what they're looking for, right? So, and that's what's been working for us.
Yeah, that's super useful. As we think about how to promote Ringknocker and the sponsorships and all that, one of the things that that I'm doing is reaching out to military podcasters and that kind of people who do podcasts on transitions and that sort of thing. And I was really astonished to discover kind of how many of them are out there. There's a list on the USNA.com, a list of podcasts. It is, it's a long page. So are you, do you do that sort of thing? Like, obviously you're here, right? But besides that, do you sort of connect with other sort of content producers and try to do an exchange of, you come on my thing, I'll come on your thing, like let's cross promote. Is that something that you do?
Well, this is our first right here. So
all right,
again, thanks, Jason.
Tell us how it goes.
But we are going that route because we just had our podcast. I guess the board just approved our podcast design. So we're going to be one of those many podcasts that you see out there. But yeah, that's cool. That's that. And we're going to focus on career transition, but we're also going to kind of have other topics on there as well. But that'll also give us a venue to do what you're mentioning and kind of bring guests on, just like you are, and just bring knowledge and value to the membership that way. But as of right now, no, we have a YouTube channel. We've got a podcast that's in the works, but those are in their infancy state, their state of infancy.
A lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah. We're going after it. Yeah. We're going after it.
Man. So as we think about targeting, targeting for sponsors and stuff, and one of the sort of keywords that comes up obviously is transitioning, right? Like, you're looking for transitioning officers. And so I just in the last day or so had occasion to count the number of people in the database who have transitioning in their headline on LinkedIn. And oh my God, that's a lot of people, right? It's a huge, do you know how many, just out of curiosity, do you know how many, not just Navy, but how many military officers leave active service every year?
Oh, wow. No, I'm
17,000.
going to guess a couple of tens. Say again? 17,000 brand new former military officers every year. That's a lot of transitions. Yeah, that's a lot of transition. And I tell you, it's we're having too hard of a time doing it too, which is, I guess where I'm so, geared up to kind of resolve that, because it's my belief is, guys that transition class of 70s, 80s, 90s, myself, 2001, who now, right, and it's 20 years later, like I have contacts and I have relationships. Guy that's transitioning after 5 years of service shouldn't be, a deer in the headlights trying to figure this out as he's going through. He should have,
at the last minute,
be able to reach out to our network and go, oh, what is that you want to do? All right, here's this number, call Jason, tell him we sent you,
Yeah. Well, I can't, I would be remiss without pointing to this last week's newsletter where Pat Sergio was kind enough to give me a list of resources. I see her on the line right there smiling at me. She gave me a book list that is unbelievable. It's 3 pages of absolute gold, and her contact information is at the top of it too. And she's given me permission to release that to the former officers and stuff. But Pat, you want to give us a moment? You do transition counseling and stuff. You want to give us a moment on that?
Sure. And I usually just offer a free hour session for any military who are transitioning. And I usually, because I'm used to working with the military, I can usually do more with them in an hour than somebody else in like a month's worth of session. Just because you speak the same language and things. And a lot of people now who are doing the transition training are civilians who maybe haven't served in the military. And they're really great at reading a resume for corporate stuff. They don't necessarily get that, it's a totally different thing when you're leaving the military, and when you're leaving at the 5-year point versus the 20+ year point.
I'm a little astonished right now. I mean, you guys have to understand that the vast majority of people who I deal with, within the Ringknocker universe are obviously current and former military officers. That's sort of the playground that we're in. I had no idea that there are people out there proposing to counsel transitioning veterans who never served in the military. I mean, that just sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
There's an awful lot of that. There's an awful lot of people who are trying to make a buck on veterans. And, and I've had some of them say to me, like, why don't you charge more? And why don't you, and I said, I have a real problem with charging military to begin with. And because a lot of people that I deal with that, because of what I can do with them in an hour, they don't need to come back, 10 times or something like that. They can go to those books that, like on that list and stuff like that, and do their own thing. Or, if they need more, I'm very good at connecting people with others who are in certain fields and things like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, so Pat, thank you for that. And Luis, thank you for coming to talk to us about this. I hope we get to do more kind of, crossover stuff, right? I mean, let's all support each other out here. And I really dig your microphone too. I want one like that.